today with the Heart Sutra in Hebrew, page 6. סוטרת מהות החוכמה. אשתחווה לשלוש אבנים הנקראות בנעלות. כך שמעתי. פעם אחת ישב בבגבן בהר פסגת הנשר ברג'גריה, יחד עם סמבה גדולה של נזירים בעלי הסמכה מלאה וסמבה גדולה של בודיסטות. באותה העת היה הבגבן שקוע בעיצוב מדיטטיבי של מניית התופעות, הקרוי הבהרה מעמיקה. כמו כן, באותה העת מתבונן הבודיסטווה מהסטווה אריה אבלוקטשוורה רבה"צמא במעשה המעמיק של שלמות החוכמה, והתבונן אז בחמשת המצטרפים האלה כרעים מעצם טבעם. ואז מכוח הבודה אמר כך שהפוטרה הנכבד לבודיסטווה מהסטווה אריה אבלוקטשוורה רבה"צמא. כיצד יתאמן אותו בן השושלת הרוצה לעסוק במעשה המעמיק של שלמות החוכמה? משאמר זאת, השיב כך הבודיסטווה מהסטווה אריה אבלוקטשוורה רבה"צמא לשריפוטרה הנכבד. שריפוטרה, בן השושלת ובת השושלת הרוצים לעסוק במעשה המעמיק של שלמות החוכמה, התבוננו כך. התבוננו עד תום אף בחמשת המצטרפים האלה כריקים מעצם טבעם. החומר ריק, הריקות היא חומר, אין ריקות מלבד חומר, ואף אין חומר מלבד ריקות. כמו כן, תחושה, הבחנה, גורמים מורכבים ותודעה ריקים. שריקוטרה, כך כל התופעות הן ריקות, נטולות מאפיינים, לא נוצרות, לא פוסחות, נטולות זיהומים, מופרדות מזיהומים, ללא התמעטות ולא התמלאות. שריפוטרה, לפיכך, לריקות אין חומר, אין תחושה, אין הבחנה, אין גורמים מורכבים, אין תודעה. אין עין, אין אוזן, אין אף, אין לשון, אין גוף, אין תודעה מנטלית. אין חומר, אין צלילים, אין ריחות, אין טעמים, אין מושאי מישוש ואין תופעות. אין מרכיבי עין, אין מרכיבי תודעה מנטלית ועד למרכיבי התודעה המנטלית העיקרית. אין בערות, אין הכחדת הבערות ועד להזדקנות ומוות, ואף אין הכחדת הזדקנות ומוות. כמו כן, אין סבל, מקור, חיפשות ודרך. אין חוכמה נשגבת, אין השגה, ואף אין אי השגה. שריפוטרה, לפיכך, משום שאין השגה, מסתמכים הבודיסטות על שלמות החוכמה ושוהים בה, משום שבגדולתם אין מערפלים, אין בהתפתחות. מי שחלפו כליל מעבר לשגוי, הם מגיעים לשלמות של החלוף מעבר לצער. כמו כן, להסתמך על שלמות החוכמה, הגיעו כל הבודות השוכנים בשלושת הזמנים לבודיות שלמה לחלוטין, ההערה השלמה בהחלט. לפיכך, מנטרת שלמות החוכמה, מנטרת לידיעה כבירה, המנטרה שאין נעלה ממנה, המנטרה המשתווה למה שאין שווה לו, המנטרה משכינה כליל שווה בכל הסבל, משום שאינה שקרית, דע שהיא אמיתית. מנטרת שלמות החוכמה נאמרת, תאיתה גתה גתה, פרה גתה, פרה סם גתה, בודי סוהר. שריפוטרה, על הבודיסטווה מהסטווה להתאמן כך בשלמות החוכמה המעמיקה. ואז יצא הבגבן מהעיצוב המדיטטיבי הזה, ונשא לו שבח לבודיסטווה מהסטווה אריה אבלוקטשוורה רבה"צמא. טוב מאוד, בן השושלת זה כך, בן השושלת זה כך. יש לעסוק בשלמות החוכמה המעמיקה, כפי שציינת, ותתגתות אף ישמחו בכך. מי שהעניק הבגבן את אמירתו כך, סמכו שריפוטרה הנכבד, הבודיסטווה מהסטווה אריה אבלוקטשוורה רבה"צמא, הסובבים האלה כולם, בצירוף הישויות השליליות, בני הישויות, הישויות השליליות מלחמת יצר והגנדרבה, ושיזכו את שאמר הבגבן. Refuge, on page 10, and then for measurement. בבודה, בדרמה ובקהילה ההיא אבקש מקלט עד להערה. באמצעות המצבורים של הקשבה לדרמה, ועשי בודהיות להועיל ליצורים הנודדים. בבודה ובדרמה ובקהילה העילאית, אבקש מקלט עד להערה. באמצעות המצבורים של הקשבה לדרמה, ועשי בודהיות להועיל ליצורים הנודדים. בבודה ובדרמה ובקהילה העילאית, אבקש מקלט עד להערה. באמצעות המצבורים של הקשבה לדרמה, ועשי בודהיות להועיל ליצורים הנודדים. לו יזכו כל בעלי התודעה באושר ובגורמי האושר. לא ייפרדו כל בעלי התודעה מסבל ומגורמי הסבל. לו לעולם לא ייפרדו כל בעלי התודעה מאושר נטול כאב. לא יפתחו כל בעלי התודעה את מידת ההשתוות ללא משוא הפנים של היקשרות ושל סלידה.
So yesterday we talked a little bit about renunciation, and maybe how about make a short review on that. So yesterday, before ending this session, I request all of you to think a little bit about what is the main obstacle that we can think about future life, and why don't you think the future life is important? And then also why we are so attached to this life. So maybe some of you might have found the answer, because all people, you look very bright today. Maybe you have so much caffeine, I really don't know. And then you might thinking about the death is not really important. Sometimes I think too, enjoy this life. What you have, you enjoy it. But then, it will never happen like this forever. This kind of your thinking. Because one time what happened was, one of my friends, he was a monk before, and when we thought we had some discussion about it, about the renunciation and everything, and he says, now I have no regrets. Now I'm in my 80s, and I have looked after my parents very well. And now my children and grandchildren, they have a very good lifestyle. Two of them are engineering, and they have a very good salary. And now I feel I'm complete. And then I do all sorts of practices, and then I received so many teachings from His Holiness Dalai Lama, And then also he got opportunity to receive so many teachings of tutors of His Holiness Dalai Lama. So he felt like, I don't need to worry about now anything. And then I said, okay. So then I said, well, sometimes when you, I was trying to convince him that he should be not so confident, because this kind of confidence might lack in the time when you really need that. And then he said, doesn't matter. And then I said, well, sometimes what really happens is, one of my friends told me that he went to suicide. That's a really bad story, but he was experiencing or sharing his kind of experience he got that time. So he was so sad. He got something terrible with his wife and got divorced, and then his parents they are not having a good relation. And then also he thinks that some of his gurus are not giving more time with him. Maybe he thinks I'm really helpless. So he tried to suicide, and then he went from bottom floor to the highest one, and slowly. First he was thinking, doesn't matter, now nobody can stop me. Even I cannot stop myself. Then he climbed up. Then when he reached on the highest floor and looked at there, then he felt like, well, I can't do it. So he just came back. So I said, this might be sometimes our feeling too. So we feel like we lost and everything, and then very sad. Before you feel like you have everything, then sometimes then you are not ready to die. So, but he said, this is someone who really does not do practice well and doesn't know Dharma well. It would never happen to me. So then I left Canada. This happened in Canada. So after 3 years later, I received a call from one of the relatives saying, now our grandfather, they call grandfather, not really grandfather, but they call it grandfather, he's in a hospital, a critical situation. He can't talk. I don't know, normally he looks so confident, but now he's trying to say something, but he can't speak, but he's crying a lot. So suddenly I felt very sorry for him. So maybe he's not ready. So, and then I can't do much for him, but certainly I took this example for myself. Because when we talk about exchange of self, right? We talk about this. This is the good time. So I put in this way. Right now I have everything. I have a kind of good reputation, and then I get all sort of respects with the kindness of His Holiness in my past life. And then end up to live on. So I don't feel like to practice a lot. But when I think about this sort of way our mind works, before so confident, and then ends up in something that, what will happen to me? So everybody who loves you will look into you, and then you feel like there's nobody to save you. It's something like you going into a tunnel, a very dark tunnel, like India, not in Israel, okay? Just very dark. If you just go driving very dark for maybe 2-3 minutes, you will lose your confidence. So because you don't know what is something you are going to bump into, right? So last night I was thinking, I'm doing also homework, and I was trying to meditate on this sort of thing. Sometimes it is more helpful than thinking on emptiness and all sort of other practices. This is something I feel like very emergency need. So then, not only that, because I read one story of Steve Jobs, because I'm a fan of Apple company, because you see this, right? So then, that great person, we take this, if we meet Steve Jobs, we will put him in a very, wow, I met Steve Jobs today. But then, reality in his own biography, so I just saw some of his short. They have just pulled out some of the sentence from his story. So posted on Facebook, saying that Steve Jobs is telling that in his biography, saying, I have the rest of my life, I was trying to achieve something. I'm trying to do something for my own life. So there's so many downs and ups in my life. But now, right now, I'm in the hospital or the bed of the dying. And then when I looked into my past, I just suffered. I've never enjoyed my life. So this is a great message. That makes him the great. Because he has experienced sort of all the enjoyment, but then he realized this, whether it's that kind of enjoyment is leading to the suffering, or that kind of suffering is real suffering, nothing to do with enjoyment. And this is a really good teaching for youngsters and the young generation, and the elders also. So, and then maybe you know about the Alexander the Great, right? You know that. So then he said, I was told by somebody, I hope it's true. So he conquered the half of the world, more than half of it. But then when he was passing away, then his will is something like to his what do you call it, secretaries, I don't know, ministers. So he requests them to put one note on his coffin, saying, I have conquered the rest of the world, and I have gained such a huge name, reputation, but now I'm put in this coffin, I have nothing to take. Maybe I'm too greedy. Maybe I take my life in a very, what we call it, in the wrong way. So this is something that he requested. But if the story is true or not, but the message, the moral behind this story gives us a good lesson, right? But then maybe we might think that, well, through this kind of teaching, maybe we might mistake and maybe mistaken with the teaching saying that we should not get involved or use any of the equipments or enjoyment of life. No, that does not mean like this. We must work, we must earn, and we should support our family. But the renunciation, without the renunciation, we really don't know when to stop, when to go ahead. Limits. So we talk about middle way. So we really don't know when is the middle way. So once we think, if you think this is really important every time, then you will always look for this, and you will forget what kind of suffering that will lead you into. But then when you think it's important, but not really important, if you have it or not, when we talk about attachment. So I shared this already in our in the course in Navishalam. So my kind teacher, he told me, when we think about negative aspects of attachment, then we should always think about three aspects. The first one, it's what the object or the thing that you really what you are attached to. It's very hard thing to get, and then you trying your best every time to get that person or the thing or any. So then once this is the one thing, if you don't get it, then you feel like I'm not good enough. So then second thing is, even you pass that first test, then second is something that there's no satisfaction. You get this and then you want the second, like the iPhone, right? So first generation, second generation, third generation, and see how their advertisement is. This is their job. They are doing a very good job. But now we are getting so much influence. Because they're saying the camera is much better, and then it's much more thinner and all things. And then you say, oh, really good, I need that. Actually, you really don't need that. There's not much use, but you want to like a competition, like with your friend. Oh, I have the latest one, and then it gives you more pleasure to show off. I'm sharing my experience. I'm not saying it is happening with you. I'm pointing to myself, okay? So at the end, it is more like look to show off. Other than if you, for your own good, internet is working, messaging is working, and then camera is good enough. Why do you need the latest? It's more like to show off and something. So that kind of pleasure, right? So same thing. And then in Israel and the modern country, and then also in India, what is really, one of the most obstacle for marriage is the second problem, right? No satisfaction. You looked and you said, oh, now he and she is boring, she is more interesting. So will how it goes into your mind, this kind of attachment there. Then even you pass that, you are okay, you are committed, and then you feel like this is enough. But then the last, the biggest problem is you have to let it go anyway, because your body is letting you go. And then you have to leave everything behind, right? So that's all kind of three sufferings that whenever you think about attachment, you should always think about these three things you have always to deal with. So then slowly getting used to this kind of way of thinking, then when we talk about the renunciation, then we talk about the determination, is that right? Determination to, oh, here it is, to free from the this life. You're simply there. So then, maybe then you might think about the next life is more important than this life. And then you might think, okay, maybe if I go into Pure Land is something that most people are like thinking, well, Buddha, it takes a long time to get fully enlightenment. And then maybe if we do good enough, maybe Pure Land is maybe the near one. But then there's so many Pure Lands. But then when we talk about like a heaven and there's no suffering, they say, then my predecessor, my past life, as my subject is on kind heart, and then I have to quote some of my past lives, teachings, because it's based on this. So when my past life gives an example of why the reborn as a god, and then as a very rich billionaire's kid. So, and then very intelligent billionaire kid, and very successful. But then my predecessor said, maybe you might feel like this is enough, but it's not enough, because it is same thing, just going from top of the floor or the Eiffel Tower, like in France, on the top of it. So what do you do once you got in the top of it? You just come back, right? This is our thing. So my past life said this, and then next day they invited him to Eiffel Tower because they think, oh, he's interested in Eiffel Tower because he's a student of the Alex Grison, who was the translator, and then maybe he told him about Eiffel Tower or something. So then the French student, they took him to the Eiffel Tower, and then at the bottom he looked it up and repeated again. He said, I don't want to go. Now I'm quite old, and you go. You are young. Maybe you think you want to see the whole city from there. Gives you pleasure. I will just sit down here and do my practice. So he didn't go, because this is a very practical teaching. He's trying to keep all the way you go up there, then go down. Just come down, right? So this is the same thing. This is why we talk about cycle existence. So, and sometimes it is very important that what the message Buddha has led, because he is a prince and he has his own right to become a king. And then his father, you might know that story.